You have no idea the amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
All right, guys. We're back. This is a preview episode for episode 130, Proud Mary. This is obviously the 2018 modern Blaxploitation film starring Taraji P. Henson and Billy Brown and Danny Glover. It is about a woman, Mary, who is an assassin of some sort, played by Taraji P. Henson. Yeah, that's true. And she has to help a little boy that she comes in contact with from not being killed. So it's a modern Blaxploitation. Like, that's the best I can give to you. So go check out the trailer for that. It's available to rent on Amazon and that sort of thing right now. It
is also a movie that was chosen via consensus, no matter what anybody says.
Right. Sure it was. We'll just say Terrence did it since he's not here this week.
Yeah.
Terrence he's the only one that had seen it in the movie theater before. He was super excited about it. So he really wanted to do it.
He really wanted to do it. Terrence loved it.
Yeah.
You said Blaxploitation and Taraji P. Henson. I'm all for it. Yeah, that's my Terrence impression.
It's funny because I've never seen Terrence more excited for anything.
Right.
It was pretty wild.
He's a pretty chill dude, but he was flipping out about how awesome Proud Mary was.
Yeah. So let's look forward to that. All right. So we do have 2 5-star reviews. I'll read this one from Sean K. Jr. First. The title is Down a Flight of Stairs. That sounds like a familiar statement. Quote, love this podcast, seeing as I'm often the only black person in any given group of film geeks I come across. Most have never heard of these movies. It's refreshing to hear black films discussed in detail in a capacity, and these guys are often hilarious. How many times will Jay mention throwing or kicking someone down a flight of stairs, though? I got to admit, I tend to enjoy the reviews of the terrible movies the most. Well, that's ironic, considering next week. There's another 5-star review from Goose Nugget. The title is Black People. Quote, look, I'm just reading this. These are not my words. I am just reading what someone else who I do not know, I honestly don't know them, this is what they wrote it. This is from Goose Nugget. Quote, Rob's humor is insufferable. Oh my God. But I'm not sure how voluntary his absence is, so I'll leave it at that. Also, these guys could use some additional editing because the banter can be a little excessive. That's fair. But I love black people and I love movies. 3 out of 4 of these guys keep me laughing. By the way, somehow my review got erased, but y'all deserve the credit. Also, I've heard the message about fixing the rating, so it'll be read. Y'all are messy and I love it. Well.
If you want to know what happened to Rob, listen to the White Man's Burden episode of Black on Black Cinema. That explains what happened to Rob.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not anything nefarious, by the way.
It's that alone is the only reason that Rob is not on this podcast.
That is correct. That is 100% correct. Much like Terrence's love for Proud Mary, that is a 100% fact. That cannot be disputed. Some would say it's more than a fact. I don't know if something can be more true than 100%, but it is definitely, that's exactly
what do black people do? It's a true fact, yo. It's a true fact. Facts are inherently true, so you don't have to call a fact true. But it's a true fact.
Fake news. So thank you for those 5-star reviews. Again, if they are 5 stars and they're on iTunes, we will read them on air. So thank you to Goose Nugget and Sean K. Jr. We appreciate it. Also, make sure you go to blackandblackcinema.com /premium. Sign up for $5 a month or $50 for the full year. When you sign up, you not only get access to this show, obviously, but you also get access to our other premium shows like No Time to Bleed, which is our action movie podcast, which is in the same format as Black on Black Cinema's full episodes are. We kind of go through the movies and talk about it. We have hilarious conversations. We just did Predator 2, and Terrence asked a very important question, which is Danny Glover a good actor? The question is a good one. The answer might surprise you. No, he's not. But needless to say, we have a good time with that. We also have a political show called Look Forward, hosted by myself and a gentleman named Andy, who is not black. But we do that show weekly. You can catch the first hour of that show for free if you go and look for Look Forward on iTunes or whatever podcatcher. But you can get the full show, which is normally about 2 hours every week. That comes out on Mondays. And then also Micah and I do a show called Airing of Grievances, where we are going through each Seinfeld episode and relating it to personal stories in our lives. And look, you're not going to get, you think you hear crazy shit from us on this show. You have no idea. We get super personal behind the paywall. So if you want to hear tragic stories of teenage Micah and Jay, that I highly recommend it. There are some Subway stories that are pretty goddamn funny, which you can never live down. So check all that stuff out. Again, blackandblackcinema.com/premium, $5 a month or $50 for the full year. Look, if you're going to boycott Starbucks, you might as well give you $5 or something. So us is a pretty good option. All right. Go. So the random topic this week, besides our love for Proud Mary, is, you know, there's an article Micah found. Micah, actually, why don't you go ahead and explain this, and then we'll get into it.
So there's an article by writer Aaron Canty I found on Upworthy. It's titled 7 Things Black People Want Their Well-Meaning White Friends to Know. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. And I read the article, and I figured maybe we can go over the 7 things and then discuss them and maybe add to this list. Okay, because we, 2/3 of the show, I think I can speak for you when I say that we don't hate white people.
No, of course not.
My
mother-in-law's white.
Right.
You're the worst.
But
she's a really nice lady.
But Terrence is, in fact, a racist. So when he found out we were doing this, he said, no, I hate white people so much that I will bring nothing to this conversation. You guys go ahead without me. That's what he said.
All I can say is that's a true fact, yo.
That's a true fact. That's what he said after he said that he was going to watch Proud Mary for a 3rd time.
Yeah, no, it was weird. Weird. He had a Proud Mary t-shirt on at the time. It's like, I didn't even know they made those. He was like, I made this myself because I love that movie. He's going to fight the two of us. Yeah, so no, but I do think this is a very interesting article. And I do have some other points beside the 7 that they make. So I guess go
consider this a public service announcement from your friends at Black on Black Cinema to all you people devoid of color. If your woke friend and ally, so you are a woke friend and ally, here are some things that your black friend wants you to know. Number 1, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. Meaning that if someone says something that is a racist joke towards any minority, really, if someone says something that is inappropriate, you're going to have to step up and not be on the sidelines. You're going to have to be like, yo, that's not cool, man. And you're going to have to do it when you're not around black people, too. Like at Thanksgiving.
I think that's a really good one. It might be the most important, actually. And they probably consider the most important, which is why it's number 1.
Right.
Yeah, look, if I'm being honest, I don't think it is the most important, but it's also really difficult, right?
Absolutely.
It's easy. I feel like it's easy to just be like, hey, don't say that shit, like when you're with your minority friends and like you feel like you got some backup.
Yeah.
Like I've always found it harder to speak up. I mean, and this is the best example I can give. I mean, obviously it's not 1-to-1, but it is still bigotry. But used to find, I don't now, but I used to find it very difficult to speak up for gay folks. Like, if somebody be like, oh, fags or whatever, some like, nonsensical shit like that. Like, I always found it hard to speak up for them if they weren't around, because then I'm like, do they think I'm gay because I'm like speaking up for it? Right. And then like, that's like a weird homophobic thing I have. Like, why would that be offensive to me to be considered gay? So, obviously that's a little different than race, just because you can look at someone generally and tell what their race is, right? Versus sexuality. But I get why it would be hard, but yeah, if you're supposed to be a friend to a community, you do have to speak up. Like like they say, what is it? Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, but it is the most important.
Absolutely. This applies to racial minorities. This applies to sexual minorities. This applies to the different genders. Right. We give it to everybody. But if push came to shove and someone was like, yo, I had sex with this girl, she was drunk and she didn't know what was going on, but fuck it, whatever, yo. Like, no, that's not fucking cool, man.
No, that's not a whatever.
Right. That's not, oh God, you get in where you fit in, white bro. Nah, that's rape.
Nah, I'm good. I don't need that shit in my life.
And you can do it, people, because social media is it's prevalent in social media, right, where someone says something that you kind of know what's a joke and what's not. And if someone says something that is uncouth, you gotta start checking people.
Do you think with the prevalence of social media, do you think that it tends to be easier for people to call things out because they don't have to be face to face with them? Because I personally do. I think that being necessarily woke on Twitter or Facebook isn't the same as saying something to somebody in a grocery line for saying something.
Absolutely. Anybody can say anything to anybody else online, because half the time that's not even your picture up on your avatar.
Right. Exactly. I mean? Exactly.
So, and a third of the time it's not your name. So yeah, it's very easy to do it online. You could start online, right? Start online, but eventually you're going to have to go from the AAAs to the majors and check that shit in person. And if you are around a bunch of people who do that often, like, maybe you need a new circle of friends.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point I hadn't thought about. A lot of times white folks are surrounded by people who believe this fucked up shit. And that's a really difficult thing to challenge your own circle. Like, that's not, by the way, that's not to give an excuse to them or anything like that or give them a pass. But imagine being in a family of all racist. And then you're just like, you're at grandma's house and they're like, well, I don't like niggers. You'd be like, am I ready to go to war with grandma? Like, because some people do. And that takes a lot. Like, it does. I mean, look, black people and minorities specifically go through a lot of shit. But if we are going to be honest, yo, that's also not equally as hard, but that's super hard to push back against your own family. I've had to do it as an atheist. I've absolutely had to do it. And like, my family going to a church and they're like, gay people shouldn't get married and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you just baptized my gay cousin. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? Like, that shit happened. And I had to have a real super big argument with my mom over that shit. And like, that's not easy to fight against your own family over shit. So however that works out, that's difficult. So, when they talk about being uncomfortable, it's one thing to be uncomfortable against random people. It's a different thing to be uncomfortable against your own family or your close friends. Like, you could lose somebody over that.
Yep.
So depends on how woke you want to be.
Yeah. Number 2, your black friend would like to say something to the racist lady, but doesn't want to appear to be that angry black man. Yeah, this is, I'm usually pretty easygoing. Words don't necessarily affect me. I feel them, but I'm a little more even keeled that I won't flip the fuck out. But on the inside, it's like, Like I want to fucking murder you. You know what I mean? Like I want to wring your goddamn old neck. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a lunatic, so I don't do it. Because I usually don't have any type of backup for someone else to be like, hey, you know, this isn't cool. And I think this is directly related to number one, right?
Right.
Where I think number one is more your family and friends you need to push back on. Number two is, you know, be a good Samaritan. And if you see some sort of injustice out in the street with two people that you just don't know, you need to pull them up. Like, the woman in Oakland who called, the cops because black people were minding their business.
Barbecue.
Right. Just fucking, it's a barbecue, yo. A barbecue. Listening to 92Q, yo. The woman was being recorded by a white lady.
Oh, yeah. No, she was giving her the fucking business.
Yes, she was. She made that white lady cry. She was like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be on my side.
Those are some fucking crocodile tears.
Right.
I was like, lady, if you don't get the fuck out. She was crying. I don't know if you saw. I had only seen a clip that people put online, and then Desus and Mero did a whole clip on it. Like, you should watch theirs, because I had seen, it was footage of that whole event that I hadn't seen anywhere else. Yo, I think she was just crying because that woman made the woman who called the cops, I think she just made her walk far. She was like, she was just out of breath. I think that's what it was. The show was funny. And like her crying to the cop is one of the funny, like she couldn't tell the cop what happened for like a good 40 seconds because she was fake crying. It was hilarious. And the cop was just like, all right, start whenever you're ready. Like, he was so unimpressed. Like, I mean, in fairness to that white cop, like, he just was like, why are you calling me?
Right. Like, look, the Warriors are playing right now.
Like,
I love these black people. Like, can we
wrap
hurry
this shit
up?
Have you seen Steph Curry play? This nigga's amazing. Like, come on, man. They don't give a fuck. They don't care about that. They want to shoot for good reasons, like buying Lucy cigarettes or, you know, things like that. Crazy shit. But yeah, look, I think number two is really important. So I often find myself like, I don't have a problem in pointing out racism, around white friends. I'm like, yo, this is fucked up. Like, I never have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with that I find myself like combating with, like in this regard of like the angry black man syndrome, or being seen as the angry black man syndrome, is when white people say shit, like your white friends say things that you know is offensive to you, but you don't want to ream them out constantly over it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I talk blacker than you. And I'm like, don't do that. Because look, we're talking about Avengers. I don't want to have that conversation with you right now and then fuck up this entire day. You know what I mean? So like, I often have things like that where sometimes I'm like, look, all right, I'm over it. We need to have this fucking conversation. But then like, there are times where I'm just like, can we just not do this? You know what I mean? So you constantly don't want to have to keep correcting people all the time over things, because then you seem like you're really angry or you're hyper focused on these things. But at the same time, we can't help but be hyper focused on it because it's our lives. So right. I don't know. I totally get it. I mean, it's another great point from the article.
Number three, we are constantly monitoring our surroundings and adjusting our clothes, hair, speed, and speech to maintain white comfort. Yeah. I cannot tell you how much this, I think, has affected me in the way I act, speak, and dress. I'm a type of person that I don't want to make waves. And while I don't have a problem wearing the clothes that I do wear, sometimes I just want to wear a pair of sweatpants and a wife beater and just go out somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes I want to wear a wife beater and go out. I never have that thought. That's really funny.
Like,
it's mostly because my shoulders aren't that big and that just doesn't look good.
But I can't. I always find myself wanting to look a certain way. And I find myself, I work in Northern Virginia, and sometimes I have to go out and do some walking. And this one time for my job, I was walking in this neighborhood, this residential neighborhood, and I didn't have my safety vest, right? So I was walking around and I see this woman look out the window, and I'm like, oh shit, like, I really don't want this lady to call the cops on me, because the part of Northern Virginia where I work ain't a lot of black people.
Yeah, no, there's not.
And if you ain't wearing a safety vest, then, you know, you must be there for some other reason. So I turn over to the window and I put on that toothy grin and I give a wave, and I felt like shit, man. 'Cause I'm like, yo, did I just coon myself for this woman? Like, did I just fucking...
No, you know what you did? Honestly, you protected yourself.
I mean, that's what I tell myself, man. 'Cause I'm like,
I mean, it doesn't feel good, but it's a survival instinct.
It doesn't feel good at all. Like, this other part of Virginia that I used to work in, I had a couple jobs in Virginia. This was a few years ago. And I saw that I was walking home. I was walking to the subway, and I saw this white woman on the same street as me. And I'm like,
did you run?
I crossed the street.
Yeah, no, I don't trust it.
I crossed the street, and then I held my bag just to be a dick.
Yeah, I've done.
I got a backpack, and I just held my bag and looked at her as I walked across the street, and she looked at me like, "What the fuck is your problem?"
No, what the fuck is your problem,
right,
lady?
But I did it because, yo, like, a white woman can have me killed with 3 button presses.
Yeah. And look, not necessarily on purpose, right? You're
right.
not saying like, hey, you're not calling a phone number to kill a black person. That's not what he means. What he means is, oh, I feel scared. You call the police and shit escalates and you get murdered over dumb shit.
Right. And yeah, I see that. Like, I love hoodies. I love hoodies.
So do I. I have to be very cognizant when I wear them. Yeah,
where I'm at and where, and you know, and when I'm wearing them. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up. But this is the one thing I think that really hits home for me.
On this list, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it's inarguable, right? Like the idea that I live in a very black neighborhood. Very black. Very black. Neighborhood, and I will have a hoodie on. Like if I have my dog, you know, and I'm walking my dog or something like that, or Doug as it's called in Baltimore.
Doug.
I had someone say it to me the other day, and it took all of my personal power not to burst out loud.
Oh God, Doug, is that you?
Yeah, I was like, okay, it's not a pit bull. That's all you need to know. But if I have a hoodie on, I am very cognizant not to put it on in certain parts of town. Like, I just am. And that's fucked up. It's fucked up. Look, I had a situation today. I picked up my dog from my wife's job, and I was taking him home. I guess like 95 degrees here, right? When I picked him up today. And where I normally walk him is not shaded. It's around a lake, and it's just fucking hot. Just the sun just beating down. He's a dog. He's a puppy. Like he can't fucking handle that. So I was like, all right, let me go to one of these other neighborhoods that's like a lot of shaded tree streets and stuff like that, so he can walk a little bit. Totally reasonable. Most logical thing in the world. I go into this neighborhood, which is right across from where I live, which is a little bit more hoity-toity, right? And I get over there and I park my car, and I see like this family out working their garden or what have you, right? It's a white family. They seem nice enough, like whatever. But I found myself, the woman's like, oh my God, I love your dog. You're so cute, blah, blah, blah. And she asked me, she was like, oh, do you live around here? Now, my first thought is, why are you asking me? But like her comment directly after that, like within milliseconds, was, oh my God, you got to bring him around more, right? Like, so she wasn't saying it like, where you live at, you know, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, but she wasn't like, what are you doing here?
Right. No, she wasn't saying it at all. She was like totally nice, whatever, right? Either that or she was like really quick to like add on to that or something, but I don't think so. I didn't get that impression at all. And so the point I was going to make is, like, I found myself saying, oh yeah, I was trying to find a tree-lined street and all this other stuff. Like, I was like justifying weirdly, like, why the fuck I was there, when instead I'd just be like, fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I found myself having this weirdly explained to another grown adult. And it was just fucking strange to me. And it's those kind of things where people go, wow, I wouldn't have said anything. But like, the problem is we are conditioned in society to do those things. It's like, you don't even think about it. I'm not like, well, I better tell this white person so, they think I'm okay. Like, but it's just like, if somebody asked me that in a different neighborhood, like, hey, how's it going? I would never give that information. I'd just be like, yeah, just walking the dog. Like, that's what I would say. But because I felt uncomfortable, and I realized that about myself, like, because I felt uncomfortable, I gave up more information than I normally ever do. Because that's the thing with my wife that I'm like, stop giving people so much goddamn extra information. Right. They say hi, there's no reason for you to be like, well, we're not home and our alarm is off. And I'm like, what are you telling me? Stop telling me all this extra shit. Because I'm also black and like weirdly paranoid about shit like that, right? So like, I recognize what it is, but it's because we are made to feel so uncomfortable in places. Like, that neighborhood I can afford, we're looking at buying a house over there. We make plenty of money. It's not like, wow, this place is millions of dollars and like we should never be over there. No, I can afford a house over there. Fuck them. I probably make more than they do. But there's just this inherent thing of like, you have to justify your own existence, which I think there is literally no way that white straight people get that. Like, they just don't understand it, and they can't. They think it's all in our head, but it technically is all in our head, but it's because it's reinforced through society constantly. So,
right.
I don't know. Like, I think you're right. Number 3 is kind of a big deal. It's a super big deal.
Yeah. Some white woman wanted, again, to go back to that Oakland example, this white woman wanted to know why those black people were there doing what, living their life. It wasn't because they were barbecuing or nothing like that.
Right. Come on. She was like, I know the municipal code and all that. Wow. So you looked it up before you walked outside is what you did.
Right.
Yeah,
but you just have that knowledge in your head randomly. Like, come on, lady.
Here's the thing. Nobody cares about anybody barbecuing anywhere. If I see a bunch of white people barbecuing, one, I'm like, where's the seasoning? 2, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Are you doing something to disturb people? No.
Right.
I don't care. And I don't care if any other minority. If you look, you know what my favorite thing is? To see a family, whatever color, just having a good time, enjoying themselves. Because the world is crazy enough. It's nice to just see people not screaming at each other, not fighting. Although I did see a redneck fight today on my way home, which was kind of dope. At a gas station. It's fucking strange. But I like to just see people just having a nice fucking life. That's nice. That's a nice thing to see. So this idea that you see that and you're like, how do I destroy it? Like, it says a lot about you as a person. Like, she's like a miserable bitch, and she's probably a miserable bitch for a reason. So
yeah, I remember we were in Florida for Christmas, and my wife wanted to go to the beach. She loves the beach, and we went and we saw this family of white people just having fun. It was cold as a motherfucker in Florida, believe it or not. Right. In December, and they were having fun having a Florida Christmas, which was, cool. trying to build sand snowmen, and they had their little Christmas tree on the beach and all that. And I'm just like, yo, that's cool. And then they waved to us like, hey, everybody, y'all. I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, this is all right.
Yeah. Turns out people could be nice.
Right. Who knew?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Number 4 on this list. Your black friend wishes you'd play more than Beyonce. There are more black performers than Beyonce.
I can personally say that this has never been true for me. As your black friend, I don't care if you ever play Beyonce. Literally at all. Yeah, I mean, look, taking Beyonce out of it and just saying black music in general.
Just certain pop culture acts that you think that we would like,
or like, just I think black music in general. Like if I have a white friend and they only play Redman every time I get in, I'd be like, well, one, are you a really big Redman fan? I mean, that's fine, Redman's great, but it would be weird. Like, I guess I don't subscribe to the idea of only, I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast, obviously, but I don't subscribe to listening to only one type of music. Like, it's just not who I am. Like, I've never been that way. I listen to all types of stuff, and people are always like, "Oh, you listen to this?" Yeah. Like I mentioned some band, or some group on a podcast on an episode on here. And somebody from Britain, a black British person in our fan group, was like, "Oh, I listen to." It was a band called Hot Chip. They were like, "Oh, I listen to them." I'm like, "Yeah, I do too." Like, you'd be surprised what people listen to. Spotify's amazing. That's why I pay the money for it, not to listen to the same 5 records over and over again.
Yeah, I think the spirit of this this entry is that, don't feel like you can enjoy the stuff that you enjoy, and I might like it, and vice versa. Like, I might be able to introduce you to some things that you might not necessarily have listened to. So maybe we all should open our minds and do what music is supposed to do and bring people together, even though some people want to claim cultural appropriation.
Don't eat that taco, Micah. That's racist.
Yeah. They also say at the end of this entry, and while we're here, you can't say the N-word when you sing along. Just don't do it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Don't do that.
That is more than fair.
Yeah.
Just don't do it, yo. Yeah. Just don't do it.
Look, here's the thing. I can't tell you what to do when I'm not there. If you're alone and you want to, and you really are dying to say it, go ahead. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
but I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
If I tell you it makes me uncomfortable and you do it anyway,
we're not
friends. That's a form of disrespect, yo.
Well, we're not friends. Like,
right. Get the hell out of here, man.
If you ask me to do something, like, I will say this without getting too into it. Like, there is a person that you and I are friends with online, quite good friends with online, and something happened between him and I. And he asked me not to do something because it offended him. And that's what sparked off that whole situation. And I respected him. And I don't. Like, I don't do it because I learned that that's something that bothers him. It's not that hard to be respectful of people.
It really isn't, man.
Like, if you don't know and you trip over that landmine, that happens, right? Like, and you can, feelings get hurt or whatever. But once you know something, it doesn't hurt to be respectful. I've never understood, like, oh, it's going to be so hard for me not to say the N-word. No, it isn't.
Right. Stop being indignant, man. No one's not
right,
telling
that's exactly
you.
Right. Stop being
like,
indignant.
no one's not telling you not to do. Like, I'm asking you to not do this out of respect for our friendship. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Some people are fucking indignant. Yeah, that's the perfect word. They just really are.
And you can't take my guns. I'm not trying to take your guns, yo. I'm just saying, hey, maybe you don't need 45 of them.
Nah, yo, I need at least 46. Like, that's the argument.
Maybe you can have a pistol and a shotgun, and that's it. I mean, because they're just used to protect your home, right?
No, but I need an AR-15. I need a machine gun.
I need to fire 80 bullets in a dude within the span of 2 seconds.
I have to.
Of a home invader.
How many enemies do you have? They just want your fucking TV. It's insured. Just give it to them. Who cares? Get a new one. You probably got an old plasma anyway. Get yourself a new LED. Come on. Get your head out of your ass.
Number 5, performative blackness is really uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes, it is. Don't do a black scent. It's really fucking terrible. All of it. Always.
Don't do a black scent. Be very careful with your Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not cool, man. Like, I'm usually I'm pretty lenient on Halloween costumes. Like, if it's a 70s party and you're white and you want to have an afro or some shit,
I don't give a fuck about that.
Right, that's fine, right? That's fine. Don't start talking black.
Yeah.
And for God's sake, keep the shoe polish to shining shoes.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't put that shit on your face.
Anywhere on your skin. Anywhere.
Right. If you put it on your skin, you're going to get a rash. And you people, rashes show up on you people. So you don't want that, right?
Yeah, that's the reason.
That's a true fact that if you color your face or any part of your skin to make it look like you're imitating a black person, you're gonna get a rash when that shit comes off.
Yeah, and it's gonna be one rash. It's like a ring right around your eye. I wish I went to a goddamn Halloween party. It was a white dude in blackface. Nah, yo. I'd be like, "Who are you?" I'm the guy. I'm Nick Fury. I'd be like, "Come here, Nick Fury." Beat the shit out of you.
Right.
Come in the bathroom. Nah, yo, we got to fight. Like, I've never experienced blackface up close, but that's an ass whooping you had coming. I guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every one of your friends would be like, "You did what? You were in blackface? Oh no, you deserve that. Sorry, now, Jared, you deserve that ass whooping."
Now look, here's this applies to other cultures as well, but at the same time, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, if you see a Chinese dress that you want to wear, or a Chinese style dress that you want to wear, go ahead and wear it. But don't, start swapping L's for R's and bowing on all that shit. Like, all that shit is uncalled for. Like, then you're mocking.
So you're talking, I guess you're making reference to that those prom pictures or something that came out?
Yes.
Yeah, where they're just like don't do that.
Right. There's no reason to do that. Like, if you see a nice looking outfit, right, that's fine, right? Everybody saw Black Panther wearing kente cloth. None of you motherfuckers are from Africa.
You know what I mean? Way back. Yeah. That don't count. Come on.
It
counts, but like not in that way.
Right. Exactly. Like, you wouldn't be wearing that kente cloth 2 days before the movie came out. You ain't wearing it now, right? Exactly. But at the same time, I don't have a problem with you wearing it, right? It looks cool, right? But don't start, riding goats and shit or whatever they do over there. Throwing spears and shit like that. Like, don't start doing that. Like, that shit is just rude.
Yeah, you're just making fun. Now, at the same time, like, wearing a Chinese style dress, doesn't bother me. I mean, look, some of them are pretty hot. But
I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, no, they are.
Those dresses.
I mean, I think it would be weird if like just an American dude just started rocking a kimono. Like, that'd be kind of weird. But like, you can if you want. If that's your style of dress, or a dude wants to wear a kilt, that's fine. I don't really give a shit. I'm not really hung up on those kind of things. But I agree with you. Like, don't start mocking the people of the culture of the clothes. That's a problem. And you're like, no, I'm doing it because it's cool. Like, it's not cool. It's never cool. But also at the same time, don't wear an Indian headdress. Like, that shit's ceremonial. Like, that shit's unacceptable. Right. So I don't know. It's here's the thing. Ask a person in the minority group, is this okay? And look, that doesn't mean they're always going to be right, by the way.
Exactly. And keep in mind that they're not exactly, they're not the spokesperson either. You know what I mean?
But at least get some semblance of, I wouldn't say permission because that sounds a little ridiculous, but some semblance of a real thought process behind buying those things. Right? Like, I don't know. Some of that shit seems a little some of it seems more obvious than others. The Indian headdress may not seem as obvious to people, but yeah, it's super offensive. Like, it really is.
Yeah. Number 6, your black friend feels like a man without a country. The article goes on to say, sometimes black people can feel too white for black people or too black for white people. And all they really want to do is just fucking hang out with somebody.
This is very true. I've certainly experienced this as a man without, I wouldn't say I'm a man without a nation. I'm a man without an accent, which is my problem, right? Problem in quotes. But, yeah, I mean, there are times where I can be, because I read, like, and I'm very aware of things. Like, I don't just go into things like, whoa, what's going on? I thought everyone was equal, like, or treated equally. Like, no, I'm more than aware, and I have no problem in pointing shit out. Like, quiet as it's kept, I know people make an assumption just because of my voice. The vast majority of people that I hang out with are not white. Like, they just aren't. The vast majority of people I work with are, but the vast majority of people I choose to spend my time with are not white. So there is this idea of being too black for certain situations or being not black enough. Like, it's a weird line. Mostly that, I would argue, is white people's fault. Because, you know, the idea of like me being too black is just me being myself around you. The idea that I'm not black enough around other black folks is your poisoned viewpoint of black people that has gotten into the heads of other black people, right? Because like we get comments on this show a lot that we're not black enough and things like that. But it's mostly not that we're not black enough, is that we're not hood, right? And for some black people, that's the definition of being black, which I completely disagree with.
Right.
So yeah, it's a hard line. And look, like, I like to have sushi. Like, yeah, I'll just eat sushi. It's not about being black or black enough or not black enough. Like, I do things because I want to do them. They're black because I did it because I'm black. Like, that's how it works. So, yeah, it's a difficult sort of contradiction, but, and this is a weird one that I don't know that white people would truly understand just because of their place in society.
Yeah, you don't. What are you, too white for white people and too white for black people? Like, how does that work? Like, that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some like white people, like cool white people who are just like, oh, this is like a super white thing. But yeah, for the most part, they would never know.
Right. I mean, unless you're like an asshole like Michael Rappaport or something like that. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I'm keeping it 100. No Tribe Called Quest. Fuck you. Go to hell.
I love how
Go to hell and die.
Wow.
He
was good on that one show, though. I did like
it. Number 7, we would love it if we could stop talking about our anxiety and frustrations regarding racism. But right now, that is impossible. And never has this statement been more true.
Yeah.
Some of us, like myself, just tend to internalize it, and I speak with the only person that I know will speak to me in a way that that I need to hear it, whether or not it agrees with me or not, and that is my wife. That's the only person that I talk to deeply about this stuff.
As your best friend, I'm offended, but go ahead. Continue.
Well, even sometimes I don't agree with you on a few things, and Terrence most certainly I don't agree with on a great number of things.
Mostly on his love for Proud Mary.
Yes,
really weird. Again,
like he really like for some reason he really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it's wild.
He was so mad when we were reviewing it that he just didn't say much because the two of us didn't like it, but he was like, nah, yo, we love this movie.
Thunder is really loud. By the way, it's really, he will never admit this, but just know this is true because it's a true fact. Terrence cried after we were done recording because he was so upset with us for trashing a movie he loved so much. He did. Some serious fucking thug tears. I was like, wow, Terrence, this is really getting to you. He was like, I just thought Taraji P. Henson's performance was just above reproach. And I was like, all right, you can just stop blubbering, man. It's cool.
Right. He was like, yo,
let's go get some sandwiches, my nigga. Like, come on.
He was like, I think Danny Glover deserves an Oscar for all of his entire body of work. I feel like Danny Glover is the best actor in the world.
Yeah. True fact. I can't wait. We'll know exactly when he listens to this. his comments will just be like, boom, boom, boom,
right.
boom, boom.
2:00 in the morning. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we would love to stop talking about racism, but I told you that I speak with my wife about this stuff because it is a positive outlet that I can talk to her and we can bounce ideas off of each other and she can tell me if I'm being unreasonable and vice versa. But for the life of me, no matter how well-intentioned things are, I cannot talk about certain things with certain people via the internet I cannot do it because I don't have what most of you guys have. You have the gift of gab. That's your superpower. You can communicate, right? Like you are, if words were a weapon, you'd be damn near a master at it, right? I am a dumb nigga. And as a dumb nigga, like if you don't agree with me, that's fine. If you keep pressing me and trying to push your agenda, like I want to hit you in the face, right? But I'm also like not one of them when keeping it real goes wrong niggas. Like I'm not just gonna fight. So then I'm just fucking mad. I'm just fucking mad. And I don't like being mad. I'm at the point in my life where that like being mad, that's not on the table for me anymore. I can't do it. I'm trying to live another 40 years. I'm not trying to die of fucking stress and all that shit. Nah, yo. Nah. I'm like Martin in Bad Boys. Like I need woosah. Like I need that shit, right? So yeah, look, that's just me. I would assume that you have absolutely no problem telling people what's on your mind regarding race and
I don't. Well, here's the thing. I would say I generally don't. I don't mind talking about things. What I do like doing is I like sort of synthesizing ideas, right? Like my wife and I talk about race all the time. Just we're two minorities, right? And we're also two minorities from two very different perspectives. Like me being black in America is very different than her being biracial and definitely racially ambiguous, right? Like she sees race conversations from two different angles, which is kind of a fascinating thing, which I've never really talked to someone from her perspective. Like growing up in small town Pennsylvania, like in her later years of like high school, and being able, like, she's so light that, 'cause for those who don't know, my wife is white and Indian, like, but she's so light that white people think she's like Italian. Like we had, I wouldn't say a conversation, but there was somebody who tried to like do this weird thing of like exposing a picture of my wife. Like, aha! I was like, okay, like bitch, it's in my profile. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Right. Because they thought that it was like, aha, you're married to a white woman. Like, no, I'm married to a biracial woman who mostly identifies as Indian, actually. But okay, sure, you got me, you nailed it. Right. Because she's a fucking idiot. But anyway, like the idea is like she hears shit that white people will say because they assume that she's white off the bat. And then she also, like, minorities generally pick up that she's minority, like is a minority because like they actually look at people. Like that's one thing that's always weird with white people. They're like, no, that person's white. I'm like, no, they're not. Yeah.
Like features don't add up.
Like I got into a huge argument with a guy at work. He was like, no, that woman's white. I was like, yo, her nose is broad as fuck, my guy. She's half black. A minimum. And like, by the way, you know, black people do come in a lot of different shades. I don't know if you know that.
Right.
But anyway, so we talk about race all the time, right? Just from like her perspective as a woman who is, and also as a woman of color, right? Like that's also a thing for her, right? And like her being accepted in certain groups and not accepted in others, and you know that sort of balance. And then like my issues, like we're thinking about buying a new house, and like we were literally in one neighborhood, and I said I wouldn't be comfortable walking our dog here. I just wouldn't be. And she was just like, yeah, you're right. You know, like we have to have conversations like that. So like, we don't want to have to talk about those things all the time. I mean, they don't occupy our entire lives, but they do occupy and they do inform decisions that we make just down to basic shit. Like, I'm sure white people listening will go, yeah, you just find a house that you like and then, you know, in a general neighborhood you like, and that's fine. But even if it's a neighborhood I like, I have to consider, is this going to be an okay place for me to just walk around? Like, there's one neighborhood we were looking at. I think it's too, like, again, we can afford to live there, no problem. But I think it might be too upper class, which is a weird fucking thing for me to say, because I think that I would probably get the cops called on me for just walking my dog, even though I have every financial right to be there. So like we have to think about those things. And she would be fine because they would just be like, oh, there's some Italian woman walking around. It's fine. Like, and then, you know, other people would be like, I don't know, is she Puerto Rican? you know, so it's those are things that we have to consider. But no, I don't mind talking about race. I like to synthesize race like a lot with my friends. Like I like to just have like, does this make sense or whatever? I have a lot of friends like Latino, Black, you know, Native American. Like I have a lot of friends of Asian and stuff like that. I have a lot of friends across that whole spectrum. So I try to talk to them and try to get different perspectives of how that works and how they see the world, right? Which I think is important. I think perspective is important. But you know, there are times that I don't want to talk about it with certain people or certain groups of people because I don't think a lot of times people get nuance, which if I ever got a single word tattooed on my body, that would be it. I don't talk about race in really nuanced conversations on Twitter. I refuse.
You can't.
But that's why. That's why. Like I was talking to someone on Twitter and they said something. It was about the Donald Glover thing. And they said something and I was typing a response and then I realized this will take like 5 or 6 tweets for me to really dig into what you're saying and how that doesn't really make any sense. Like looking at your perspective versus a different person's perspective and things like that. And, you know, general fairness across the world and, you know, blah, 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 details, facts, nuance, that type of stuff. And I realized like, I'm just going to end the conversation there. I'm just not going to respond because there was no point because by the time I got to my third tweet, you would have responded to the first one, taking completely out of context what I said and not understanding it. And then it would have devolved into something else and me getting canceled online or whatever the fuck. Like there's no point. So I only tweet from the Nerdpocalypse account really, which I talk about nerd shit. Like I don't tweet that much about racial shit on the Black on Black Cinema one for that very reason. Because it's complex, which is a problem. Like if you come to our Black on Black Cinema fan group, we'll have deep dive conversations about those things, like or our political group. You know, we'll have deep dive conversations, but I refuse to do them on Twitter because there is no point. Twitter is where nuance goes to die. It is.
Yeah.
So because it's not long form, like it just. I'm sorry, I can't explain to you why white women doing a cover of This Is America, the Donald Glover song is I wouldn't say problematic, but completely fucking misses the whole point of that video. Like
it misses the point and makes the point at the same time.
Right.
It's very weird.
Exactly. So like those kind of things, those complex things are things I just kind of steer clear of. And I wish people could have, and I mean, I guess that goes to the crux of this show. Of this show in and of itself is to have those conversations in a long form, sort of fun dynamic where we're laughing about a movie and stuff like that, but really talking about these topics. It's difficult in this day and age of like rapid fire social media stuff. Like when I see things like that, I'm like, what is the point of this? Like it's going to get ripped out of context. It's going to get fucked up. And what you think you meant is going to get retweeted, half responded to. And like, that shit's worthless to me. What it creates is an inability to have actual conversations. And not having any nuance in conversation might be one of the most maddening things to me. Like it just is. So
yeah,
I don't know. My answer, I guess, is yes and no.
So that is the list. I would urge anyone listening to this or watching this to add to it.
I'll put the link to the article in the show notes.
Okay. And yeah, let your voice be heard. Go to blackonblackcinema.com/fans. Correct. And, under this post and add to it and, get a real discussion going on. If you found this via Twitter, go to blackonblackcinema.com/fans to go to the Facebook group because can't have this conversation on Twitter.
No, you can't.
In 144 characters or whatever.
It's 280 now. They've expanded. Wow.
Wow. double we're almost halfway through the word nuance.
Right.
We're at newer.
We're there. We're close. We're close. But I do think that's the point, right? Is to actually have these long form conversations, because this list is not designed to just be a catalyst to beat up white people. Is actually what it is it's a catalyst to have a conversation with white people who are actually listening. Because according to Twitter, no one is listening, which is not true, right?
No, it's not true.
There are people who are listening. That doesn't mean they're getting it right. That doesn't mean they're getting it all right. Doesn't mean they're fucking nailing it perfectly. But there are people who are listening. So if they are listening, say something, and say something worth a damn. And I think this list does do a good job of at least starting that conversation. Actually, I think it goes a pretty long way to having that conversation, considering this episode is damn near an hour. So, but again, I don't like those kind of things of like, this is for white people, we don't have to pay attention to this, because I think we also as black people have to pay attention to this list too. Because again, your point of like come and add to it is important. What did they miss? Because there's a lot. Right. So, but it's not just don't put raisins in the potato salad. Yeah. Haha. The joke is funny. Right. Great. Can we talk about real shit now? Like these kind of conversations are what drives real conversations. And it drives us forward as people in general, not just black people, but coming together as people moving forward. Cause it's really fucking important. And memes are all great and they're fun and everything. But if you're going to do the work and you're going to have a real conversation, this is how you do it.
Right.
All right. I think that's it for us. Any parting words there, Micah?
No. My wife is laughing hysterically, which means Blackish is on. So I'm going to go down there and join her. Okay.
All right. I can hear my wife upstairs right now. So, all right. That is it for us. Make sure you go to blackonblackcinema.com/fans. Like Micah said, join the fan group. It's really good. We have good conversations. Also, we have some fun. There's also memes and shit in there because they're hilarious. Everyone's really making fun of that white lady for calling the cops.
Yo, god damn. I know this lady. She is waiting for this 15 minutes to hurry up.
Yeah, like, yo, I do not want to be the Rosa Parks of like white racism. I don't need that shit. Fuck that noise. So go check that out. Also, go sign up for premium content, blackonblackcinema.com/premium. Again, it's $5 a month or $50 for the full year. Totally worth your time and your money. Also go check out Proud Mary before our review next week. Again, Terrence's favorite movie. So get excited. You will learn a lot about Terrence and his thoughts on quality films from this. What I would argue is a treasure trove, a love letter to Blaxploitation in Proud Mary starring Taraji P. Henson. And we will see you guys next time.
See you.
Bye.
We out.